172, 173, 174, 175, 176. Whew, 176 seconds. That's how long it took me to scroll down this reviews page on Steam before I found a single negative review about Psychonauts. Wow. Are there any super well-received games that you've always been meaning to play but you could just never seem to find the time? Psychonauts was one of those games for me. It was critically well received at the time of its launch on the original Xbox, and despite meager sales in the beginning, an eventual multi-platform release through PS2 and Steam ended up making the game a big enough success to warrant a sequel, currently in production. And it's exactly because that numbered sequel is on its way next year that I finally overcame whatever mental barrier I was facing and played through Psychonauts. And after the dozen or so hours I spent to see the credits roll, I am really glad that I did. Charm is one of the first words that comes to mind the second you boot up Psychonauts. The premise is fun. You play as Rasputin, or Raz for short, a former circus acrobat who is recruited to a summer camp for psychics in order to hone his mental abilities. There are plenty of other psychic kids here which you can go and pal around with and go to class with, as well as a few different psychic counselors. These characters are one of Psychonauts' biggest appeals. There are bullies, nerds, preppy kids, and more, but the important part is just how well written they all are. The game is laugh-out-loud funny, more so than any other platformer I've ever played. There are lines in here that prove that kids weren't necessarily the target audience for a majority of this material, which is quite surprising seeing as how kid-focused most platformers traditionally are.
I wished my loved one had remembered to indicate me as the beneficiary of his 401k plan.
One of the first missions in Psychonauts is Basic Braining. It's a basic platformer level that introduces you to the big gameplay hook in Psychonauts, the fact that all levels take place inside somebody's brain. The first brain through which you travel is one of the teachers at the camp, Coach Oleander, and his brain is a literal war zone. While inside, he talks you through some of the concepts you will need in order to become a successful Psychonaut. The gist of it is that you run and jump just like most other platformers, but you also have some psychic moves at your disposal. Most of the psychic abilities that you learn are tied to a Boy Scout style merit badge of some sort, to help tie into the camp themed nature of the game. The most iconic of which you learn is the ability to levitate on a magical orb, and use it to slow your descent from high distances. You can also gain combat abilities. In addition to your basic strikes to take down foes, you gain laser shots and the ability to start fires. There are also some utility and puzzle-solving psychic moves, such as the ability to go invisible, as well as being able to pick people and objects up with your mind. In addition to this platformer suite of moves, the opening level also introduced some of the collectathon elements. All of the different doodads you collect get dressed up as some sort of brain-themed item. Figments of the imagination are the most abundant collectible, scattered throughout the levels as frequently as notes from Banjo-Kazooie or coins from Mario. All of the characters have a little bit of mental baggage too. You'll need to find the correct tags and match them up with the baggage in question. There's mental cobwebs, and most importantly of all, there's vaults. Everyone has parts of their past that are knowingly or unknowingly locked away in their mind, and these get represented by physical vaults that you can attack to uncover the memories. This will display a small slideshow that brings you through the key moments of a character's life, the highs and the lows, and the lows especially help give context to why the characters behave the way that they do. There's a lot of heart here. By the time you finish any given level, not only will you have run and jumped and collected and fought through a character's brain, but you will also have helped them overcome some sort of issue they were running into internally.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Void?
The game's summer camp world is relatively open. Most of the critical path usually needs to be taken in a specific order, but there's nothing stopping you from running off and exploring and doing side stuff in between. There's plenty of collectibles you can gather when you're outside of somebody's brain, the most common of which are the game's currency of arrowheads and the magical playing cards that you can gather to upgrade your abilities. One of Psychonauts' greatest strengths is how it continuously shakes things up and improves things from a gameplay perspective as you navigate through more and more mines. Psychonauts is a rare game that is a grower and a shower. It starts out as a really good traditional collectathon platformer with funny writing, but the levels eventually become so much more. There's a level where you insert yourself into the mind of one of Napoleon Bonaparte's distant grandchildren, and you progress by using your telekinesis to play a board game. There's another level where you help a distraught actress overcome her stage fright, and you need to swap out multiple different sets and scripts and moves to get the correct combination to progress. There's a lot of cool stuff like that here, and even the levels that don't have some bold gameplay gimmick are still carried by the awesome writing and the solid platforming. I was expecting fun dialogue and interesting characters when going into the game, knowing what I know about Double Fine. But I guess what I wasn't expecting was such a strong central story running through the whole game. Usually story doesn't have a large emphasis in platformers, but that's not the case here. What starts out as an innocuous summer camp time adventure turns into unraveling a plot to steal all of the campers' brains. There's a little bit of everything in the story: drama, love, betrayal, but what I really appreciate is all the little morals that Psychonauts tries to instill within each of its levels. At the end of the day, Psychonauts is a game about mental health. And sure, it doesn't try to get too serious with the subject matter, but it infuses all of its levels with something anyone of any age can take back with them. Sometimes the big scary enemy that torments your life is you. Sometimes your greatest critic is in your head. These are things all of us need to hear sometimes. So whatever that thing it was that you were holding yourself back from doing, go and do it. Whatever goal you wanted to attain, try and attain it. As for me, I think my biggest bit of mental baggage is why the hell I didn't play this game any sooner.
Okay, call me crazy, but I have just got to sell more Psycores today. So yes, these prices are real. Here at the camp store, Psycores are just that cheap today.